So my first introduction to video conferencing, that happened in 2002. I was just about to land my dream job as a chief cultural officer with the mission to take care of the corporate soul. So I was in the last interview with the chairman knowing that Hamburg had huge ambitions for the future. At this time, we were only 300 people. So it was kind of a pretty small startup company still. But the ambition was to become a global leader. And this role was a global role. And the thing was that when I was at this last interview in 2002, I was recently divorced. I was a single mom. And I knew they wanted someone to lead the whole global organization from the culture side. So I had to be honest about that. So I said, you know what? I love the company, I love the job, but I can't travel as much as I think you want me to do. And I still remember the look on his face. He stared at me a bit like blankly and said, I don't understand the problem. And then he pointed on his desk. And there was this little box, a little desktop video called Hamburg 1000, for those of you who might remember what that looked like. And he pointed towards that and he said to me, this is how you are going to be traveling from now on. So 1 hour later, I left the building. I had an employment contract. And I have a video unit under my arm. And from then on, I basically have been living my life on video. So I think I had thousands and thousands of hours working on video from 2002 till 2011, or 12, when I decided to start my own thing, Corporate Spring. But the thing was that I realized I just cannot live without video. So I was lucky enough to be able to get a video system on my own. And so far, we're still a small company. We're only 3 people, one in Oslo, one in London, where I'm based, and one in Dubai. And we are all video enabled. And we talk every day. And this is how we continue to live. So I'm a big video technology fan. But not only because it's given me a huge benefit in my life, but also I've seen the amazing things that face-to-face technology can do for big organizations. So I'm going to talk about these 3 things. I'm just going to turn this a bit. One is, why is passion good for business? So my presentation is called How Passionate Video-Enabled Culture Can Accomplish Wonders. So why is passion important? That's the first thing I'm going to talk about. Then I'm going to talk about what is it that creates passion. And then finally, what's video got to do with it? Okay? So we start with what passion is good for business. I often get the question, but Annicken, you talk about passionate culture. What is that? How can you explain a passionate culture? And I say, you know, sometimes it's easier to feel it than to explain it. But the way you feel when you meet someone, you meet a person, you meet a team, you meet a group, an organization, you can feel the energy. You can feel that the people, you know, the light in their eyes, the way they talk about their job, the way they always go the extra mile, the way they jump out of bed in the morning looking forward to do great work. That's typically passionate culture. But I think this man explains it very, very well. Vineet Nayar, CEO of HCL Technologies, he says like this: what we want at HCL is passion. We want people to be burning up with desire to pursue their interests, fascinated by their assignments, jumping out of their skins with excitement about what's next, eagerly pursuing better solutions and new initiatives. So this man, he actually wrote a book called Employees First, Customers Second. And what he basically says there is that if you take care of the inside, which is the people, the inside will take care of the outside, which is the customers. Regretfully, he's pretty unique in business world. There is not a lot of leaders that think like him, yet. And this is actually one of the big challenges that business world is facing today. Let me give you a few examples. 1 out of 10 employees say they hate the job. 1 out of 10 say they love it. And 8 out of 10 really don't care. This is one of the biggest challenges most businesses are facing today. It's really bad for business. And why is it so bad for business? Well, let me give you some examples. If you have people who show up at work, not because they want to, but because they just want to collect that paycheck, you typically get people who are so-called disengaged. You can be moderately to actively disengaged. I don't really want to be here. I show up just to do my work, okay? These are the features that typically recognize disengaged organizations. Low morale, high turnover of staff, lack of loyalty and trust, extensive control mechanism, because you need to control people who don't really want to do their job, right? Little to none innovation, because why should they? They're just there to get their paycheck. And fear-based culture. People are afraid of making a mistake. They just want to hang on to that job. Do any of you know any organization that works a bit like this? You recognize it? And it's kind of sad, but that's the reaction I get almost everywhere, that, yeah, sounds like a place I know, or maybe am. But let's look at the opposite then. Look at what it can be like if you have an engaged organization. You will have happy and enthusiastic people. You will have a low turnover, because people, of course, you don't want to leave a job where you're happy and you're enjoying yourself. There's a high level of trust and loyalty. And there's a lot of freedom, because you don't need to control people who are loyal and trustworthy. People have fun at work and highly innovative, because you are able to be in an environment where you can come up with new ideas and you can solve solutions, and you have a passion-based culture. Any of you know places like this? Good. Because thankfully, there are many places like this as well, but again, still not enough. So let's look at some figures. What the cost to have a disengaged organization. Actually, you can see, and Towers Watson made a huge survey on this. You could see on the operating income, there was an average of minus 32% decrease. 3.8% net income growth decrease, and 11.2 earnings per share decrease. While you compare to the engaged organization, you will see other numbers all on the plus side. So when we say that disengaged people and disengaged organizations is bad for business, this makes perfect sense, right? And this is what it looks like. So let me ask you, which one organization would you rather work in? Or would you rather lead? Or would you rather interact with in any way? Or maybe, which one would you rather be a shareholder of, for that matter? And just to rub it in a little bit more, this number, $350 billion US. This is what it costs American businesses per year because of their unused potential. Taste on that word for a little second. Unused potential. Unused potential is people actually showing up at work, but not wanting to be there, not giving their best. It's not like they're homesick or something. They show up, but they don't do everything they could. So if all these people instead had been engaged instead of disengaged, a lot of businesses would have been a lot more profitable. There's a saying, if you put fences around people, you get sheep. Because you can ask yourself, so what is it? Why do these people show up then? And they don't bring their heart and their passion, and they don't love their job. Well, the fact is that it's not so much about the people showing up. It is about the environment they show up in. So what kind of environments are that? Well, typically, I would say, and also research proves, that stiff bureaucracies, corporate politics, disengaging leadership, I name it. There's lots of things that organizations do that actually has the opposite effect, which I actually think they want to have. I think that any CEO, any leader would say, yeah, we want engagement. Yes, we want happy people. Yes, we want passion. But still doing the opposite in the day-to-day. And that is something we can do something about, which is the great news. And we can do something about it as leaders, as people, but there are always also some huge changes happening around us, which is actually leading us more and more in that direction. That engagement is not a nice thing to have, it's going to be a need to have. Because we have globalization, the world's getting smaller, competition is getting global, we have technology, which of course this is all about, and what that enables us to do. And we have demographic changes. So you have new markets coming up and you have new generations entering the workspace, which have like a total different way of thinking about how to work and how to live and how to use technology and what the world looks like. So these three are huge transformational forces happening right now as we speak. And it's even given a name. It's called the Big Shift. Well, it's given many names. It's also called the New World Order, the Modern Renaissance, the Connected Economy, Dream Society. I found 10 other words. But they all say the same. There is a big change happening. And we're right in the middle of it. And working with technology is a huge opportunity to actually use our technology in order to help these changes happen. But then you have another challenge. I think Keith also touched a bit up on it, and that is, you know, a lot of technology is there, and you know all about this, right? There's a lot of technology that is there but isn't really used. Because humans' capability of using all that's available for them, it's quite limited, right? And not only that, but we have an old way of thinking. I mean, we're going into a new era where new rules will apply, but still we tend to continue doing things just the way we used to do it because it's so comfortable, it's how we're used to it, right? So it's not, if the world around us changes, we actually have to change as well, right? And the biggest change, everyone agrees on that, is not actually around us. The biggest change needs to happen inside our brains. So we are today, and we have typically been living in what we call the left brain academic society, where everything that is in the left brain, which is all the rationale, it's the logic, it's the facts, it's the details, that's what people focus on. Everything's linear, right? You do this, then this happens. Or, what if that doesn't happen? What if you do this and something totally different happens because something else comes in there into account? Like music suddenly starting to play somewhere. And then I have to start using my right brain, right? My right creative brain, which is my intuition, which is my feelings, which is my sense of seeing the whole picture. And more of the things on the left side, computers can do now. But computers still can't do what's on the right side. So what we talk about this big shift is that we as human beings, we need to more and more start engaging with what we have here, like understanding, conceptualizing, understanding the big thinking, not going into details, but rather focus on what does this mean? How does this influence each other? Let me give you a few quotes from Daniel Pink. He wrote a book called Drive and also A Whole New Mind. And he says, in 21st century, computers will outcompete the human left brain. Our right brain's capacity to conceptualize, synthesize, and make meaning of data will be crucial. So, by all means, we need our brains. We need both sides equally, right? But for some reason, we have spent so much more time on the left side than on the right side, and it's time to wake up that right side as well. In the future, it's not the big companies that will outcompete the small ones, but the fast ones that will outcompete the slow. This is also where we're heading, right? Everything's going so fast. You can't have a lot of stiff bureaucracy then. I mean, the world will just pass you by. And what do you need to do then? Well, you actually need to think what's the right thing to do, and you need to use your right brain. There was an article in Forbes magazine a year ago, which is called "The Empowered Employees Coming, Are Today's Companies Ready?" And this was actually one of the reasons why I decided to start up my own company, because I know the empowered employees are not only coming, but they are needed. But companies also need to understand how can you build that kind of environment where the empowered employees can thrive and be passionate and innovate and create and be the best version of themselves. That, again, will hugely benefit the companies. So just for a little moment, let's imagine. Let's all put the hat of a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company on. And some of you might even, have that on a day-to-day basis. But let's think that you're a CEO now. okay? And you can choose what kind of organization will you lead, what kind of people should be in your organization. So would you rather have the flock of sheep that do what you tell them to do and follow your orders? Or would you like to come up at work Monday morning and first time, you open the door and you meet this woman, or you meet that man, and you have people who has an innovative mind like this man, are able to inspire others like this man, or have an inner drive and a persistence like this woman. What would you rather have? What do you think would be the people that can take your company and your future into the next level? Nothing great in this world has ever been accomplished without passion, it said. And yes, I personally experienced, I've seen, and I know that with passion, it is actually very few limits to what you can do. But without it, you're kind of stuck pretty much as where you are. So I think I kind of made a point of why passion is good for business. So let's move into what is it that creates passion. Now you may think, yes, I want to have passion in my life or in my job or in my team. What is important to focus on then? Let's look at the research of it, the research of the human brain. What is it that ignites our passion? What is it that makes us feel alive and happy and wanting to do our best? Well, actually, it is 4 things that research has come to. And the first one is autonomy. So we human beings, we like to be trusted. We like to have freedom to do what we think is the right thing to do. Not having someone sitting on our back and just controlling us, pointing fingers at us or looking at our flaws, but rather encouraging us to say, hey, this is the direction. I trust you. Go ahead. So autonomy at work is an extremely important thing for passion and for engagement. The second thing is mastery. We all need to grow as human beings. If we're stuck in a rut, we do the same thing day in and day out, we just die. We die inside. We need to develop ourselves. We need to stretch. We need to get out of our comfort zones. And this model here, which shows that, okay, there's a really nice place to be, which is called the flow zone, which is like when you have a good balance between what you can do and kind of the assignments that you're getting or the challenges. But my experience and also what research shows that if you really want to grow, if you want to grow your organization, your people, yourself, you need to dare to really get out of that comfort zone. You need to be able to handle a bit of stress, doing things you haven't done before, making some mistakes along the way and learning from them. So lying there between the flow and the challenge, that's where the blood starts pumping. That's when it gets fun. And this is where innovation happens as well. So mastery is the second thing that is very important for us in order to feel this. The third one is to have a purpose with what we do. I mean, Franz Kafka, he said that any man can handle any house as long as he understands his why. So it is about we understand why are we doing the things we're doing. And I'm working with lots of different organizations, and I always start our initial discussions with, so, guys, tell me, what's your big dream? What is your reason for existence? What are you here to do? How are you going to make a difference? And it's amazing how few that can answer that question. Usually people take out a drawer, oh, I have a strategy plan somewhere down here, so I don't care about the strategy plan. I want to hear about, your big dream. What are you all about? Like in a sentence, whatever, something that, make you proud to work here, something that makes other people proud to work there. But this is where it starts. We need to have a purpose. If we don't understand why we're doing, what's the meaning of it, right? So if you're going to jump out of bed in the morning, you come to work, you're eager to do a difference, you need to understand what you're there to do. Not just another task, but a reason for that task. And this is a deep, deep, deep human need. And the fourth is something we see way too little of in the business world, and that's love. Not talking necessarily about romantic love, I'm talking about love for what you do. loving your job, loving your task, loving your reason for doing it. There's actually done a very good research on this. It's an old research, but it's still extremely relevant. So this was in 1984. A researcher named, 1964, a researcher named Scully Blotnick, he worked in the university. And he saw a lot of his students, they went out in the world, and for some reason there was no really, it was like the best students got the best jobs, or the worst students became losers. He couldn't see there was any link there, so he said, I need to do some research on this. So the graduated year of 1964, he asked all the students, he said, okay guys, so 1,500 students, you're going to go out in the world now. What are you going to do with your lives? If you can choose two big objectives, or one out of two objectives, either you're going to go out and you're going to get rich. That's like number one, you're going to get rich. Or you're going to go out and you're going to have fun. What do you do? You're going to do what you love and you're going to have fun. So of these 1,500 students, it turned out that 1,245 students, they said, I want to go out and I want to get rich. And then 255 said, nah, I'm going to go out and have fun. I'm going to do what I love. And, well, if I get rich as a consequence, that's fine. But that's not the real objective here. And then off they go out in the world. And Scully Blotnick was a very, very patient man. So he actually waited 20 years until he approached these students again. So in 1984, he decided, I need to find all these students. And, well, it wasn't a lot of internet to talk about that time, so it was quite a job, and he could only find 1,100 of them. But still, so he had them interviewed and looking at their income and, how successful they were. And it turned out of these 1,100, there was 101 US dollar millionaire. And that was good money. I mean, and it's still good money, but in 1984, that was a lot of money. So he said, that's interesting. So we have 101 millionaires here. Let's find out where these 101 comes from, which groups. And then it turned out that of these 101 millionaires, 100 people came from the group that wanted to have fun. And one of them came from the group that wanted to be rich. So when he first had them there, he said, okay, I'm going to check one more thing. I'm also going to check how happy they are. So we asked the question, on a scale from 0 to 10, how happy do you consider yourself? And it turned out that the guys who had one objective in mind, and that was to become rich, well, they gave their lives like an average, a 5-er. Because after all, I tried to be rich, I didn't get rich. So they were really happy about their lives, actually. But on the other group, whether they became rich or not, the average was 8 out of 10. They were happy because they had been able to spend the last 20 years on doing things they really loved. So that's when he came up with that expression, love what you do and the rest will follow. If you really, truly love what you do, you'll be great at what you do. You're going to earn good money on what you do, and you're going to be so happy doing it. So these 4 things are fundamental drivers that all human beings have. And this is not like different, like, oh, no, not this group, not that group. This is human beings all around the world, no matter what kind of position, what role or company, doesn't matter. Research has proven this is it. So, okay, then you can ask, so, okay, making your point, good. What has video got to do with it? I say a lot. This is Grand Café in Oxford. This cafe has been an institution for 400 years. And the reason why this is an institution is that a lot of fantastic ideas have come out of it. This was a meeting place for artists, intellectuals, people from all kinds of backgrounds for the last 400 years. It's a meeting space. It's where people connect. And 400 years ago, it actually looked a bit like this, the liquid network. There was a lot of alcohol involved. There was people around, having fun, I think. Doesn't quite look like that today, but it was a network, all right. So innovation doesn't happen by itself. Innovation is not about someone sitting, in a room and thinking hard and eureka. Well, that can happen too, but usually that eureka comes from the fact that he has been interacting or she has been talking with lots of other people before that. So suddenly just coming in, up with something as a consequence of that. So innovation happens when people meet, and not by email. You don't innovate by email. I don't think you innovate that much by phone either. But the moment you have an eye-to-eye contact with someone, it's amazing what you can do and what you can come up with. And 1 + 1 is no longer 2, it's 4, it's 10, it's 15, because it's multiplied again and again. So what's happened when you're bringing people together, 5 minutes, good. You bring people together, that's when innovation happens. So then it's pretty fascinating, isn't it, that this is how we have structured a lot of working environment the last 20, 30 years. Putting people in boxes, also called cubicles. I mean, it's basically designing for non-innovation. Like, oh, keep people away from each other so they don't really, interact and share ideas or smile or have energy or, just box them in. Gratefully, we're moving away from that, but regretfully, a lot of companies still look like that. And if you have a company back home that looks like that, I suggest the first thing you do, go and just tear down some walls. Because what you want it to look like is something like this. Interacting with people, physically or virtually. Knowing that as long as we can meet, as long as we can share ideas, as long as there's someone I can connect with there, we can come up with great solutions together. So there is a huge shift, there is a move, and you see more and more companies are tearing down those walls because they see that, we need to do this together. It's not a one-on-one job. This is this all-together job. In my 8 years in Hamburg, we video-enabled everyone in the organization. We were 1,700 when we were acquired by Cisco, and everyone had a video unit on their desk at the work, and most of us also had it at home. And there was a lot of, socializing, a lot of work, a lot of fun. But then we talked about that video culture. It's not about the device that you have there. It's not about the device on the desk. It's how you use it. It's how you use that to interact. So we talked about the importance of building a video culture. And what does a video culture look like, and what is the benefits? Well, first of all, just a quick one, how my workday could look like. As a single mom living on the countryside outside Oslo, I started my day up, in Oslo. A bit like Keith's story here, actually. Started in coffee in Tokyo, glass of water in Singapore. I had lunch in Madrid. I had afternoon tea in London. I had, pre-dinner drinks in New York. I went home and had dinner with my daughter, and I might catch up with some of my colleagues in San Francisco before I went to bed. This kind, it just gets interacted in the way you live. It's not a strange thing. You're just like, this is how you work, right? But the video culture and the benefits of having a video culture is that you are building trust, okay? You are building trust by having that face-to-face communication. You get to do more with less, share ideas, innovate, learn from each other. You can make fast decisions, feel united, share passion, and have lots of fun. And you can truly create those kind of wonders that we're talking about when you have that. And the cost saving from travel, the environmental impact from travel, you save all those things too, and that is fantastic, but that is a consequence. So building video cultures, and if more and more companies realize the enormous potential of that, just imagine, guys, I mean, the entire world being video enabled, everyone being able to connect to everyone all the time, like a natural way. Not like, oh, we have to set up a meeting next week, but hey, let's call each other every time I have a question, something I can talk about, because by default, we are video enabled. And then passionate video cultures, I do know, truly, in deepest in my heart, truly can create wonders. Thank you very much.